I want to say congratulations to my good friend Eric O'Neill, whom I love so much, as you just finished your Kick Obesity of America challenge last week with the president's wife, Michelle Obama. He is one of my helpers when it comes to my little challenge. I had to, have a practical act of Congress to change my life. Really, just Eric O'Neill, the curriculum designer for the United States of America, is helping me out here. So I want to say congratulations to you, to Lion Man, and I'm really proud of you, and the events that you have done last week has made an impact. Getting 1 million kids kicking to Kick Obesity of America is no small thing, so I appreciate you. As we finish this segment of this conversation, I really want to make sure you guys get the practicality of what Nestor is saying. A lot of times, especially, as church folk, I was always told you can't talk about that meditation, hoodoo guru, woohoo stuff, And then when I realized that, at least in my Bible, at least 400 and something times in the Old Testament, meditation was mentioned over and over again, and that they're actually sort of two different things. Prayer and meditation are two different things, at least from my construct. I can't pray properly without meditation. I have to be aligned and grounded before I can make a declaration, which is what in my faith, prayer is a declaration of authority into the realm of the universe, that the material or the matter gets activated to do something. That's prayer, right? If I'm full of crap inside of me, that's just the truth. When I speak out forward, I'm neutralizing myself because I have no internal basis. I'm not grounded. And I know the difference. I've done it when I felt like I was saying positive things or trying to be positive and nothing positive was happening in me. It was just a bunch of talk. As to now where I wait for the congruence. So that when I speak, I know it's creative. Real manifestation.
Or you could actually say that when you're praying, it's actually getting your conscious and your subconscious mind aligned to the quality that you want to embody. Like, for instance, let me be strong, let me have courage, let me be peaceful. So when you're saying that, you're actually guiding your mind to align to that, so that you end up embodying it, so that you end up having the courage, having the love, having the the fearlessness, for instance.
Yes.
Please give me strength to be able to deal with this challenge. So now you're aligning your mind, your body, your emotion towards that emotion and that quality that you want to have.
And it just makes it so much easier, I always joked and said I didn't like working with women, which is not true. I don't like working with women. Working with women, it's like fighting and caddying and this and that. And I realized it's not that I don't like working with women. I don't like working with chickens. I don't like chicken heads. That's a colloquial expression for someone who's unconscious, unenlightened, looking for a reason to take you down and not encourage you. And so then when I thought about it, the fact that, my colloquial expression for these, there's probably words for them in every culture, right? Just that one person that's always lingering around, and that there's going to be trouble, there's going to be drama, it's negative, it's debased, and you want to get away from it. So we call them chicken heads. But I thought about chickens, and I said, you know what, you can cut their heads off and they keep running, like they eat poop, they wait for roosters to crow, they gather together, and they have wings and can't fly. That's a chicken. I don't like those. I love women though. And so when I thought about the word diva, and I refused to use it for the longest of times because there's a connotations again. A diva is a female version of a hustler. No, it's not. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a diva virtuoso, right? Like Beverly Sills and Marian Anderson and Kathleen Battle. These were the most beautiful virtuoso singers I've ever heard in my life. They were contraltos just like me, so they were in between the soprano and the alto vocal, but they were women of color and they were on the opera circuit. So to me, I saw them as my virtual teachers. My mother was a single mom and we didn't have a lot of money, but she would take me to Lincoln Center in Manhattan so I could have these experiences. I saw Pavarotti, I saw Placido Domingo, I saw Beverly Sells. I saw some of the most amazing singers ever. I wanted to be that diva. I didn't want to be someone who was just large and in charge. I wanted to be a person who knew what her high note was and knew how to create the environment for it. So I started working with the likes of Mary J. Blige and Mariah Carey, different divas, right? People would get mad at them. Oh, they're so difficult. No, they're not difficult. They're decided. You didn't pay for her to sing just any old song. Mm-hmm. You're expecting that 4.5 to 5 octave range to be in the space. Therefore, it better be 72 degrees in that room. The humidity better be just so. And do not put any dairy in anything around her, otherwise she will have phlegm. You paid for a diva, not a singer. You can get a singer anywhere. But this woman has a high note that only she can hit. And that's when I realized I love divas, because they're absolutely certain about their high note, whether it's a vocal, a project, a passion, a vision. We all need that to be absolutely certain that I can create the environment or the condition for my gift to excel in. Without being committed to meditation, self-care before I have to go there, I probably would not have really experienced my high note for myself. I had a lot of things I was really good at. I was an overachiever, right? Every kid in my family was an overachiever, and I ascribed that to my parents, to my mother, my grandfather, and my grandmother, because they were committed to making an environment for us to excel, right? So we were always touching, climbing, moving, crashing, doing something, right? But we had the freedom to be. The freedom to be. It wasn't until after pain, pain that I can't even tell you how to define this pain. Pain that I didn't think would ever go away. Pain that I thought was just going to take me out completely. Within that pain, I found my high note. Yeah. My absolute purpose. And I always feel like I could cry when I think about that, because I could have missed it. I could have stayed numb and mediocre and just getting by. But I didn't have to. Even though it was painful, the value is just I'm so appreciative of it.
Yeah, that's why I always say that, the challenges, the sickness, and all this challenges that we go through life is actually life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Actually making us be attentive to what we need to learn, to what we need to pay attention to, what we need to actually value. Because if you don't value it, then somebody will take it away, or you'll get an accident, or you'll get sick. For instance, if you don't value your physical health, right, and you just put anything, whatever, well then it's going to get sick for you to pay attention to the fact that, well, maybe these things don't work, that don't work.
Or
now, and then, like I said, so that the pain, like I said, will actually keep happening if you don't pay attention and change it.
And it gets bigger.
It gets bigger because it creates a momentum.
The message is subtle, and then it gets bigger and bigger. I always remind kids that there are 2 questions that you can ask when you're facing a challenge in life. Number 1, what did I learn from this?
That's right.
And number 2, how did it make me grow stronger? Because everything, if you look at it from that perspective, can make you grow stronger.
Or you have to almost decide, right? I have made an intention in my life. My life is, actually, it's the way I love it right now. It's exactly what I want it to be. But at one point, it was so hard just dealing with grief from missing my mother that I had decided to grow through it and not just go through it.
Right.
That was very, very intentional.
Yeah.
That I was going to sit here and remember her thought and her breath and her touch and her intention for me. When she was in a coma, I was blessed to read her journals. And I was born in 1968. Yes, I told on myself. And the journal entry I read was May 15th, 1971, which was my birthday. I was 3. That means my mother was born in 1948, May 15th. So we were exactly 20 years apart. So that means she was 23 years old. And I'm reading this journal entry sitting by my mother's bed, and she's in a coma. And she said, "Today is my baby's 3rd birthday. We live in the projects. We live around a lot of poverty, but I refuse for the projects to live in my child."
Wow, that's
I
incredible.
read that.
That is incredible.
She said, "I refuse." 23 years old. She said, "I refuse for the projects to live in my child." And I remember right after my 3rd birthday, I started taking ballet lessons. And I was like, nobody takes ballet lessons. This is corny. I'm not doing this, right? And I must have been like 4 or 5 years old. And then she prayed with me. She said, "I'm going to pray that I'm not forcing you to do these things, but somehow God will send you the reason." And right after that, I saw Michael Jackson for the first time dancing on television. And I said, "I can do that. And then when I grow up, I'm going to be his wife." I can do that. 'Cause, I mean, he had his big afro and a hat to the side, and he was dancing. And my mother's like, "That's ballet, that's modern jazz, that's this and that." And I'm like, okay, I'll go to my lesson now. I won't complain. But I was so blessed to read that journal entry.
What a blessing.
I was 3 years old. She was 23 years old. And reading that journal entry, and she was still alive, but she was paralyzed, I landed in my body in so many different ways. Not just my generation. I felt now my mother, I felt my grandmother, my great-grandmother, my great-great-grandmother, who were all alive up until the age of 10 for me. And so I was able to really have the benefit of hearing them say, "You're here for a purpose, and every generation after us is going to do better than what we did. And God is calling you." I said, "God has the wrong number because I don't care." I mean, that's the type of that's the type of kid that I was. My cousins, and I think it's because of Latina, because my father's mother's Cuban, Cubana. So out of all my cousins, I was the only one. My father's mother's Cubana. My grandfather was 100% Cherokee Indian. So my father was this fiery breed, and then you had my mom. All my other first cousins, which I was the first, and we're all T's. Tina, Tanya, Teddy, Trevor, Taronda. My grandmother just went, you trouble. Get over here. So I was the only one. So they were very sort of almost passive, calm, mellow Southern. And I was like, "What you say to my mother? Let me tell you something." I would say it in Spanish. I would say it in English. I was the only one who would fight. I fought for my mother. I fought for my grandmother. I fought for my cousins. They didn't diagnose my cousin as dyslexic until 10th grade. They pushed him through school so he can get a scholarship for football. I fought the school system. I fought for my brother. I was used to the fight. For me to be able to stop fighting.
Interesting.
You understand? Stop fighting and still win.
Yeah.
Actually win more. Because I don't have to win.
Win more.
Win more
it's a
because I
deeper-
don't
Yeah.
have to win.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is stuff. That is the yummiest experience that I wish I could open someone's little brain
that
and
is
just pour it
liberation, right?
Free.
It's liberation.
into me. It's free,
Yeah.
right? Absolutely free. I remember being free in broadcasting. I was a talking head on terrestrial radio for a little while. And I had my format, blah, 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 and then I saw this thing by Oprah Winfrey and Bob Greene making the connection.
Right.
Making a connection. I already heard that Phil Donahue was about to retire, and there was a clip on there from Phil Donahue, and he said, "When Oprah Winfrey pushed out a tear, I knew I was done." He said, "I even tried to push one out. It didn't work. I was just going to retire." And then she opens up this video making a connection with the same field of purple, just like in A Color Purple. And she sits in that field just so candidly. She says, "I was a little girl in Kosciuszko, Mississippi, and my grandmother used to cook a green bean until I couldn't stand anymore." When she said that, it hit me that no matter whether it's acting, whether it's real, it's relatable. And that's the only thing I wanted to do was relatable media. If you can't relate to it, as a person, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So that's why you guys are here. I don't know if people would look high and low to have you on their show. Because I don't think you'd be looking for them to look for you. Because you're just you, right? But I couldn't wait to have you here.
Thank you so much.
I couldn't wait. There's so many miracles in conversation I experienced with you. And when I saw Randy's movie, oh my God, it just made me cry and cry because I thought of all the children that needed hope, right?
Right.
They needed hope. They needed to know there's another answer. So, Nestor, okay, we're going to do like the insertion of coaching right now, right
Sure.
quick. If you had to say 3 or 4 things that you want people to walk away with or know when it comes to effective practical meditation, because, you know, I think people are sort of doing stuff. I don't think they got it down pat or getting the outcomes they should get. What is that?
It would be I think the first thing is to learn how to slow down the body movements, especially because that's the easiest. The other one is slow down the talking,
Yeah.
right? To slow down the breathing. And then as you get more and more subtle, then you're able to actually access that, right? So the stillness and the slowing down is critical. So you could do that at any time.
How?
And,
Can we do it now?
Sure.
Let's do it now. Sorry,
know.
Miss New York. Now. Not later.
I mean, just you could do it with the breathing, but also you could do it with your gestures, especially the way you're talking. You know, just slow it down and notice that you start to notice the sensations in your body, right? So the exercise that I actually like to show is this, you know, about how the mind works is in meditation is that if you actually go like this, and you know when you do this, please do it. You know, you see that you actually it's blurry, right?
Yes.
You can't see the fingerprints or you can't see the hands, but you slow it down, and it becomes a little bit clearer, and then you keep it still, and now you actually really see it. So that's what meditation does. You know, it slows down the mind so that you can actually see and experience life clearly. That's why it's really important to slow down. And then the other one is that if you actually put it near
So
your
the first
face,
one is slow it down.
right?
Slow
So then
it
you
down,
take
slow it
everything
down.
personally when you know
Oh, yeah.
this thing. If you take
Pixelated.
everything personally, then you don't have perspective. So meditation will give distance to your experience so that you actually have perspective. So you're not personalizing
Just
everything.
breaking. We are streaming live in a Google Hangout, and the conversation that's going on in the Hangout, thanks to our Hangout maven, Ms. Beautiful Doreen Wan. Love you, love you. She's like, it's the funnest thing ever. You know, this is like the most social event that we ever can experience because we're talking about meditation. We have my whole scope of influence is involved right now. So that's 80,000 people on Facebook. So Black business, women in business, Christian women's in business, mom in business. I hope those are all my groups. So they're all engaged. And so she's engaging people also. And so my biggest nervousness today was we don't have enough time to get the press releases, that we don't have time to get this, you know. And I knew it was going to be exactly the way I wanted it to be. So she's just
Good.
texting me saying, we are having such a great time. Nestor's the best. Randy's gorgeous. They're on your website. Have them go over to projecthappiness.com. And they're really enjoying you guys. So thank you
Wonderful to
for
be
giving
here.
us a meaningful social experience. So we have to get clear. You have to
Yeah.
slow it down.
Slow it down, and then you know, become very, very still. But I think the main thing to also get from the practice is really, really, you know, when you wake up in the morning, feel grateful that you're actually alive. That's the first thing. If you can just wake up as a practice,
Gratitude is everything.
That's such
Because-
a great one.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm alive today, then everything is actually possible. Meditation is not, you know, a practice in seriousness. It's a practice is in being happy. You know, it's not that
I
you-
like that. I'm sorry, it just hit me.
It's so it's a
but they always
practice.
look
in-
so serious. So just
exactly.
And I say mine out loud.
so serious.
It's for you to meditation is actually to enhance the celebration of you being alive. So it's actually enhancing the celebration
I think
of
that's. I think you
life.
just
Love that.
uncovered the problem.
That is a game changer right there.
He just uncovered the problem. You just said something that was miraculous. I believe the average person is thinking about meditation or even prayer. You got this sort of dour, sort of serious look. and
work. It's
You're
hard
hungry.
Gotta
You're half
concentrate.
naked. And you got to go
Don't let the mind
oh,
wander.
all day
Mind doesn't
long.
come
It's
back.
really serious.
So look what happens when you're actually enjoying, you know, when you're meditating and you're sitting still. And, you know, you just enjoy the thinking. You don't think of it like this is good thinking and that's bad thinking. Enjoy the fact that you're able to think.
Right.
What
That
happens
was a
to the
game
distraction?
changer. Nestor,
Yeah.
you think that is like such simple technology that you just lay down on everyone, but you just invented Apple. That was serious what you just said, because I think most people take it like, you know, I'm about to meditate.
Exactly.
And leave me alone. I'm getting ready to meditate. And I mean,
Don't bother me. I'm trying to be compassionate.
I'm trying to be compassionate. I'm really altruistic, and I'm serious about this thing. So you shut up. I pictured. I mean,
Yes.
and so for myself, the flip side is I've been a very silent meditator.
Yes.
Because I have fun with it. I enjoy it. I enjoy my life, and it's almost like you have to feel bad about saying, I like me and I have fun. Sorry, I'm not miserable, and I like my peace. And
So look what happens when you,
but
when
that wasn't
you know,
that.
yeah.
It was
Do you
awesome.
agree? Okay,
Awesome.
that was
Yeah.
a it wasn't just
Game
me.
changer right there.
Oh, thank you
You're
so much.
conscious. You're conscious, and see, that's a critical element. Most people. Julia Butterfly Hill. Do you know Julia Butterfly Hill? I love her. She's like the activist of activists living in those trees, right? She said during one of her speeches that consciousness is the privilege of the elite.
Phew.
And she said only because when you're in crisis every day, trying to feed your kids, trying to survive, you don't stop to be conscious. And I said to myself, that's not true.
No, it's not.
I have
There's
met,
another way.
and I know for an American, maybe she sees a lot more the people who can afford the spa, who can afford the treatment, who can afford that. And I see poverty on the other side, where those people don't even have a clue about consciousness. You know, it's violent, it's debased, it's hateful, it's anger. But I've also been to places where there's no economy. And they have the most amazing peace
Yeah.
because they don't have that Western ticking going on. You know, that get to work, make your money, get your food, kill it, eat it, break it. I mean, that's just a hankering. When you live in, I mean, in a world that's just dictated by being, right? You go outside and you pick your food. That's what you're talking about in India, right?
Yeah.
You pick your food. You don't know what time it is. You don't care what time it is. You know you're going to talk to, like I used to talk to our abuelo. And if I know I was going to talk to my abuelo, my grandfather, it's whenever he felt like talking. It wasn't like, Papi, you got to talk to me at 1 o'clock. He's like, it might be 1 o'clock today, next week. You keep bothering me, it's going to be 1 o'clock when I feel like it, right? So it's going to be that type of thing. That's how he would say it to me. But I knew it was going to be when he's ready. And that readiness was actually something I appreciated because that meant he's going to give me quality time. He's already thought about how we was going to spend time together and everything we were going to do. As it's just rushing. So it's a whole different paradigm.
Yeah.
That's where I want to be every day. I know that I go back and forth in my peace function a lot because of what I do, and I want to be able to install a mechanism permanently for myself where no matter how busy it is, no matter what's going on, I remember, not that I don't know how, I remember to just stop. Right? I have it installed in the daytime, but like a week like this week, that's why I wanted to start with meditation. I was like, well, I could start with this. We'll do this interview. And I'm going to start with meditation and gratitude because if I start that way, it will never be left behind.
Sets the tone.
It sets the tone.
Yeah.
And that's what, you know, when you wake up in the morning and you meditate, you know, the moment you wake, you know, you open your eyes, and you say thank you, it sets up the whole
Okay, so you
day.
said slow it down,
Slow it down.
gratitude.
Gratitude.
Slow it down, stillness, gratitude. Because slow and still are two different things.
Celebration, though, it's always like in the very
Gratitude.
beginning, is that you celebrate. And just think about like, today I am just going to enjoy everything that
It's
happens
going to
in
be
my
the
life.
bestest of everything.
Yeah.
It's going to be the best everything.
Yeah.
Think about what happens to you when you end up like, oh, nothing becomes mundane anymore. Everything is special because I'm enjoying everything.
Yeah.
Everything in my life, every second is precious. Everything that I have. The mess that you say, oh my God, look at my mess. My God, it's your mess.
Right.
Celebrate it.
You're here to
What
make
happens?
Well,
What
say it
happens
like
though?
George Carlin, right? He said, other people's mess is their crap. Your mess is your stuff.
But what happens with that though is it becomes very healing.
Yeah.
Because you're celebrating and then it gives you energy
You're in a place
to
of
actually
acceptance.
clean it up, to organize, because it starts to clean up your mind and it becomes
All that
clearer.
avoidance. You know how much energy and bandwidth it
Yes.
takes to be in avoidance and in denial and hatred and guilt? It takes a lot of bandwidth. I mean, they've even done studies where they show that kids cannot process information the way they should when they're in anger and bitterness and hatred. They can't absorb the information because it literally takes up 5 times the amount of what we consider RAM
Yeah.
for them to process or learn something new. So when they're peaceful and they have stability and they eat a good breakfast, little basic stuff like that, they can absorb the information.
Yeah, so think
Not
about
big
like
And
when
the
you're
grades go up.
practicing, when you're in that session already, about just accepting whatever is happening
Yeah.
and enjoying whatever is happening.
Yes.
You don't even have to think about like, is that going to be a good session? Is that going to be a focused session? No, it was that celebrative. Was that happy? Did I look? Can you imagine just meditate on in focus and observe? Actually, I always wanted to say replace the word meditation to observe, because that's what you're trying to also become strong at.
That's right.
It's actually your observation.
Observation.
If you're observing, actually, you're meditating, because if you look at observation, there's awareness, there's focus already in there. But everybody is doing that already. That's why you can actually teach this to kids.
Yeah.
To
I mean, you're focusing on
4-year-olds.
something. This is what people don't get. It's sort of like the law of attraction, right? People are like, well, the law of attraction, I'm going to get into the law. You don't have to get into the law of attraction. It's a law. You don't have to get into the law of gravity, walk off a building and see if it works. It works. It's just, if you suck, you're going to attract suck. That's just the reality.
Totally.
It's right. What we're trying to do is position ourselves to attract what we want in our lives. But the law of attraction works. So I feel like I'm focusing on something, right? Like the Bible says, think on these things that are lovely, that are good report. Think on these things, for against such there is no law. I love that because it reminds me to say, don't think about why is she sitting up there like, why is that way? What did my daughter just do? Where is my stuff? You know what? I have a daughter, and she's beautiful, she's delightful, and she's the most amazing creature. That's what I prefer to think on. She's a miracle, right?
So instead of also focusing, because there's a lot of connotation
Well,
when
that's
you're
actually
focusing.
fixating, right?
Think about aligning. What happens when you're saying you align to the experience that you're actually wanting to have?
Yes.
If it's love, if it's peace, right? And if it's like being very expansive and joyful, think about aligning to that. What happens? It's effortless then,
Yes.
because the peace and the love is actually already there. It's not something that you actually create.
And you don't have to make it up.
Right. It's just like, so you feel more. So then the awareness, then you start training on your awareness. It doesn't become mechanic where it's like, I'm going to meditate for 20 minutes. Your mind is actually off at that time.
And
But
if-
it's like,
and
I'm
if
going
I
to
do that,
feel.
I also don't want to do it for 20 minutes, right? So it's like, I'll do it for 20 minutes, or maybe the next 20 minutes, then maybe the next 20 minutes. If I just am, I'm okay.
But the thing that you're doing, like I said, is to observe more, to make that very, very strong, and to actually feel, Then the awareness that you're training become stronger rather than being mechanic. Oh, I'm doing meditation for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 hour. Then it becomes a competition again. You're back to the fighting mode again, to the comparing mode. To the point, it's like, oh my God, I only meditated for 20 minutes today.
And here's
what is that? What does that make me think? Right?
Another
It's the
aspect
same thing
is
of
some
the
people-
game.
Yes, and some people judge their meditation
Yes.
like, oh, my mind wandered. I'm such a bad
Bad
person.
person.
You
I
know?
sent you that.
Same
cartoon.
thing.
Remember the
Yeah.
cartoon?
It's the same
I sent
thing.
him. I sent you the cartoon. So I would meditate, except I keep forgetting. Right? So it was so cute because it just reminded me of myself. And then I would think about, okay, just give me 5 minutes. Just stay still for 5 minutes. Okay, just another 5 minutes. Okay, just another 5 minutes. Then I did that with my kids. Let's just focus on this just for this little period of time.
So
And then now let's just for this little period of time.
Yeah.
You
think
know?
about so doing that and say, keep aligning to that experience of joy. And then you say, am I feeling joy? Am I feeling joy? Am I feeling joy? Am I feeling joy? Look at that. Look at the awareness that happens to that. Am I feeling it? Am I feeling it? All of a sudden, you're focused without even thinking that you want to be focused or concentrated. And that the greatest thing that happens when you're aligning is that it becomes effortless. And then you feel what you're actually after.
It becomes your default.
Right.
You
Yeah.
actually come back to that.
That's your
So
default.
Yeah.
meditation is also for you to become human being.
Not a human doing.
No.
Because we're human beings, not a
People
human
are
doing.
wanting to say, oh, enlightenment. It's such a perfect state that
This is
nobody
why
can
I
relate
love
to
the way
them.
He teaches this because
Yeah,
it's so
accessible.
practical.
Yeah.
See, the conversation of meditation usually belonged to the esoterics a lot of times, or there were people who really didn't know what they were talking about. They were just selling a book. So I really love the way you just make it so simple
Yes.
and necessary from a standpoint of, well, you could not eat food, Tina, but you might just pass out. So all you got to do is take a bite. Just take a
Right.
bite. So that's how practical you make it. It's not all the way someplace else.
Right.
And I think that's important because I just believe that people learned how to stop. Their health would change. Their stress would
That's
change.
right.
It's proven. It's proven
Yeah.
over and over and over again. You become healthier. You become happier. You live longer. You're more generous. You're more engaged. On and on and on.
You just have a lot. I don't know. I just feel like meditators have more fun. They just do because we can experience it. We're in our body. I remember doing fun things and not being conscious and in my body. That I was like, wait, I did just spend like $5,000 at Disney World, right, with my kids for like a whole week. I don't remember it. I just because I was just so busy.
Wrapped up in the doing.
I was so
Running
busy.
here, there.
Do you know what's the greatest sign of happiness is? What is it? What's the greatest sign of happiness?
Okay.
Smiling. If you want to, see, right,
I'm like, wait, maybe it's
you
a quantum
smile.
dynamic of
What's the number one sign of health? You end up smiling.
breathing.
So, can you
alive.
imagine if you actually just align? Everybody can do that. Practice smiling every day, every
See,
moment.
And I love to smile, and we always laugh about that because they used to call me Sunshine
Oh,
when
that's
I
a
was
good. That's a good name.
But it was like almost. I'm from New York, so they didn't go, "Oh, look at Miss Sunshine." They said, "Oh God, here she comes, Miss Sunshine," right? Because it's New York, right? So, but I always would smile because I remember thinking, what if that's the only smile that person got? I mean, being a little
But
girl,
that's so true.
being a little girl,
And most
thinking
people
that
don't realize that.
that
The
what-
power of one smile.
it can
And
change
Oh
their
my
whole
God.
day.
it could save a person's life. And I've read so many stories of how it has.
Mm-hmm.
And they did an experiment once where you take a pencil
Mm-hmm.
and you put it inside your mouth and it makes the sides of your mouth turn up. And what that proved is that your physiology
Follows.
and your biochemistry follows, and you
It
actually
creates
do become
oxytocin.
yes.
Dopamines.
Yes, hug drugs, they call them. Oxytocin. We love oxytocin. Okay, so Nestor, we're going to sort of transition so that
Sure.
we're all talking to Randy about her background. But I want people to know why you're qualified to even have this conversation. Did we sort of mention that you worked with the Dalai Lama, Deepak Chopra, and a whole bunch of really important people? I think we forgot that part. But give them just a little bit of your background. So if they want to get to your website, and if Mark can, he can put the website up, they can come. I'm going to stop. I'm
Yeah.
going to rewind.
Yeah.
Shubro San
Yes.
was in incredible pain when we saw him in Jeannie's house, right?
Yep.
And he flew from India, and he's the CEO of Conscious Capitalism, and I love him very much. He's a very sweet man. But he was in excruciating pain, and he flew in from India to be with us for that weekend, and he didn't know if he was going to make it through the weekend, and you worked on him.
Yeah.
For what, 24 hours?
Not 24 hours, but we divided the days, and he actually had some relief on his back problem. And so this is what I actually also do.
He says it mildly. He had some relief. The guy was practically like doing the pop here. He was like, I feel so much better. I mean, he had a few sessions after that to be 100%. But if he was sweating, he was in so much pain. He could not stand there.
Yeah.
He was in so much pain. So
So I mean, I have background in studying acupuncture for 7.5 years, and clinical psychology for 7 years, and all of that, and also living in India for 5 years. So I ended up treating the Dalai Lama's doctors and his teachers and meditation masters, and also all over the world, CEOs working in Taiwan, and I'm traveling
so he's
to
so
actually
qualified to have this conversation.
Yeah.
So I don't want you to think I picked up some schlep off the street, like with a little mat going.
Maybe you
he's a little qualified. He just so happens to be my bud, right?
Yeah.
So to have this conversation, and so I want you guys to learn more about Nestor. Nestor is being installed in the Tina Michelle International world as one of our Hope ambassadors, and he will have that conversation around meditation and peace with us live and virtually. So as we start moving towards getting into these schools, even more so in the inner city, here in America, even though I love the work that we do overseas with some of our partners, I am more excited about the work we're doing down the street with the kids that really need our help right here. So Nestor is going to be working with us, and we're already going to be working, all three of us, I think, a little bit together, I think, with Chris Traub and David Traub. David Traub is the reason why we know each other, really.
That's true.
Because David is that guy. He's like,
so much,
Tina,
David.
you really should. You ever notice he like squints his eyes?
Yes.
I love David Traub. I love him to pieces. He's my bud. But he's, Tina, you really need to come here and meet these guys. I'm busy, David. Tina, you need to stop being busy and come here and meet these guys. Okay, David Traub, his movie is doing incredible right now.
Oh, really?
Did you know that David Traub was one of the producers or executive producers for the Steve Jobs film with Ashton Kutcher? He's doing fabulous, and he couldn't be here, so I miss you, David. But thank you for connecting the dots. So he's also doing Raging Bull too. He's also one of the executive directors with Martine Guigui with Unity 4, which is an all-star celebrity band that plays for philanthropy. I mean, these are like Winston and Branford Marsalis paying for free so that they can raise money. So, all over. If you look up Martine Guigui, Guigui, you'll find the nonprofit group called Unity 4. They do concerts all over the place, and they just raise money. So David Traub and Martine Guigui, they have great hearts, and his brother Chris Traub is partnered with none other than Sir Richard Branson. Just that little guy. I think he's in a little more money than I have more money than him today in my pocket. No. But they're focused on youth.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of that because the work that they do for youth worldwide is amazing. Now, I want to just mention the people that really sort of made this happen for us to meet and for you guys to be here because it's all connective.
Yes.
It is.
I've been talking to David off and on for I don't know how long. I just love him to pieces. His energy is great. He's like my little Jewish brother. And I'm always calling. Did he call you yet to make an appointment?
Yes, he is.
Okay, because I was gonna yell at him. It was like, did you
Chris
call
Traub also.
Did you call Nestor? Did you call Nestor? That's that we support each other now.
Yes, it's true.
And hoping that things are moving forward. That's why I know you guys. So I want you to reach out to Nestor, and his website is up on the screen in front of you. And you can also go probably by the end of the day or tomorrow and see Nestor and Randy on, I forgot my own site again. Tina, I've been saying tinaspeaks.com for 10 years to say something else. HopeSocially.com, and get their buyers and their information, for they are Hope Ambassadors. And if you would like to be part of our group of people who are focused on changing their world, that is what we call by definition in my little space an actionist. I was raised by activists. Activists who would, stand in front of a bulldozer, that would fight in the middle of the street. And I appreciate that, because if it wasn't for the work for the activists, the civil rights workers, my mother with her big Angela Davis afro, talking about power to people sleeping in my bedroom and smelling in the middle of the night, that whole flow, right? If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be conscious, I'm sure, because I got to see her really fight for community center, fight for laws, fight for. I saw that my mother, my father was a Marine in the 82nd Airborne. My mother protested the war, and I spent my first birthday incarcerated.
Wow, what a story that is.
Incarcerated. So I can tell people I've done hard time. I was 1 year old protesting the war. My daughter goes to school in Chandler, Arizona, where the top funding sources, Orbital, Intel, Google, PayPal, they're all there. They have technology. They have practically robots going down the hallways. It's a public school. This is not
amazing.
a private school. So, and then because she's such an artist, she sort of was lost last year because it really focused on technology and athletics. My daughter's an artsy-fartsy. If you saw a picture of her, pink hair this way and that way, bohemian clothes, and she choreographs everything for everyone. Literally, is the chief choreographer for her school now.
Amazing.
Sang the anthem at the Cardinals game, opening the season. She's an artist. They created an entire artist curriculum for her at that school. I was going to take her out of the school and bring her someplace else. So I brought her over the summer to take some lessons and stuff. I said, maybe I'll just move to Long Beach. Her teacher literally called me and said, please do not take this child out of our school.
Wow.
She is a light. She is a wonderful person, and she loves people, and she is so creative. And so she was Student of the Month.
Yay, congratulations.
So I'm very excited about that. The kids in Compton don't have that opportunity.
No, they don't.
I have kids who have told me that they have to walk over syringes just to get, from one place to the next. How about children who can't go into their houses because their parents have alternative jobs? Until they're done with their alternative jobs, they can't even go home to do their homework, and sometimes that's 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't even understand that. I don't even get it. I was raised in the suburbs, thank God, but it broke my heart.
Yeah.
I was there as part of the STEM program, or the STEM conditioning program, to get the kids ready for science, technology, education, and math. The Army Corps of Engineers asked me to be there, and the Carr Foundation, who we are doing, they invited me to Social Media Week. And when I got there, it was great. Richard Gant was there. He's a great actor. He was one of the hosts there. And we streamed to 42 high schools. And then I looked around and I realized I'm looking at a video camera with a high-8 tape. This is their media department? Are you kidding me? It hurt my feelings. So I said, okay, I'm going to adopt the whole school. Kevin Clark goes, are you crazy? I'm going to adopt the whole school. Until I get a computer lab and a computer in each one of these kids' hands, I will not be happy. This is not about extra rights. This is equal access in the United States of America. No Child Left Behind laws, I'm sorry we're going into this, but No Child Left Behind law says skate the child by and don't teach them. But yet the principals are getting failing report cards because the kids are not getting good grades. The school is shut down. It's systemic.
It is systemic.
And it has nothing to do with the kid. So if we can come in there and just get them the materials, we're going to give them a new computer lab, get them the smart boards in the school, make sure that they see that their science is sexy and it makes sense, right? Of course, my phraseology. Your science is sexy, it makes sense. But, I'm so happy to be here with you guys, and I feel very grateful. So I just want you guys to recap really quickly. Here's to the practicality.
Yeah.
Right? Stop moving.
Or slow down.
Slow down.
Slow down, your body movements, your breathing, and then eventually you'll slow down your thinking. And with that, you gain clarity. And the other one is that when you are practicing, that you do celebrate, you're in a state of gratefulness for whatever is happening, so that your practice is actually meditation, you could say, is observation, and what you're always practicing is being able to accept yourself as you are, meaning like You have your greatness, and then you love also those weaknesses, which you can grow from,
It's the drag.
which you can
See,
strengthen.
most people don't understand the drag is good, right? And maybe this is just a Tina-ism.
or just
If you didn't have drag in a plane, you would burn up. You need drag because it keeps you from going into the atmosphere too high, too fast, right?
Yeah.
Sort of like the phoenix bird. The phoenix bird loved the sun so much that it kept flying closer and closer to the sun until finally it burned and died.
right.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't sail. I'm saying there's things in your life. You need drag, you need thrust, you need lift. All these things have to work together.
Well, that's why I said, like if you really want to be able to contain that meditation, is that you use everything. So there's that irritation meditation, meaning
I
that
like
the
that.
more
Know more about that.
Actually,
Yeah,
can
the
you
more-
be an irritation meditation? Because I think they've irritated me and activated meditation. So I think people can do that.
Exactly. So the more annoying and irritating the situation is, or a person, or you actually become calmer and calmer and calmer and peaceful. So it doesn't actually accentuate your aggressiveness, but it actually accentuates your calmness. Yeah, you become even more observant at the same time. You become even more loving if somebody's angry at you and all of this. So that's a practice. That's not.
Also, it
It's
has
not
to
about
be-
perfection. You
It's
see.
about consciousness too, because I look at people who are angry with me. When you're sort of fixated on yourself, right? Why did they do that to me? When you really sort of realize what happens in life. I was that chick once. Something happened to make me show up that way. Something must be going on with her.
Right.
Right.
So it's a different come
Perspective. Yeah.
from in
That's-
general. Because I'm not looking at what are you doing to me. You really can't do anything to me per se,
Yeah.
because we are part of this experience called life. So whatever happens in life is as it should be. That's
Well,
just
that's-
how I just really believe it. It's as it should be. So I'm good. It's just now how do I either add to your peace or your experience or even just smile
Exactly.
so that no matter how cranky you were, no matter what was going on when you first saw me, there's a consideration of something different.
Well, the thing also, just to add to this is that, you have to realize that every moment is actually new. So this is a true hope.
Right.
So whatever has happened that you say went wrong, the next moment is completely new already. And that will give you hope to say, well, I want to align to the correctness of this. I was really angry, but the next moment is new. So then it's like, what do I want to align to then
Yes.
in this moment?
And that's where choice comes in.
That's right. That's where you're actually your power and your choice is that this moment becomes the next moment, and that next moment becomes the next moment. So guess what? You are creating a momentum of, like, if you say you focused on that piece, every moment from then on, if you
You're
align to it,
imprinting
become
something new. You're embedding
Exactly.
something new. And see, what's funny, because I forgot to mention this in the beginning of the show. The whole theme for the week for me is real hope, real action socially, right? And so most people will look at hope as something far off in the future, and it's like this is like Santa Claus. Hope is like Santa Claus. It's not real. It's not tangible. And did you really see him come down the fireplace? Does it really happen? But for me, hope is real when you add legs to it, when you add action.
It's
And so I
medicine.
created a formula for hope. As people are participating in this content, this is what I'm going to ask of you. If you hear something that impacts you, stop in that moment and feel it, right? Is it true? Does it really live in your body? How does it make you feel? That's the H of hope. How does it make you feel? If you don't feel anyway, don't lie. Take ownership of something that's not yours. But if you heard me tell the story about the kids at Compton High School that landed someplace for you, and you know a school down the street, just feel it. I'm not telling you to go run and do anything yet. Just feel it and ask yourself, how is this making me feel? Then the next thing is ownership, right? Am I willing to own this feeling as mine, right? How do I own this feeling as mine? I own this feeling by one, determining whether, did I have this experience as a child? Can I relate to it? What are the differences? And how can I change that? Right? So I can own this experience or take ownership of this feeling that I have right now. So that's the H and the O. How does it really make me feel? How do I take ownership of it? Then now let's start to move. You're going to personalize it. Personalize it means I'm not expecting you to go to the school and volunteer 25 hours and you already work an 80-hour week. But there might be an organization that's part of your company that's already there. right? There might be something in your church. There might be a volunteer service in a community that's safe, that you can contribute to, that you don't have to actually physically put yourself. Figure out how to personalize it in your life so that you can now do the E, which is execute. That's real hope in action. Ask yourself how, own it, personalize it, execute.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So that's what this whole week is about. It's about real hope, real action socially. So I hope that the people who are watching us today are figuring out, what do I need to do to be it today? And we are going to take a quick break, and we'll be back, and Nestor and Randy are going to play musical chairs.
You know, one of the most amazing things that has happened on our little Tina Speak show is that one of my mentors, one of my favorite people in the world, Les Brown, came into the studio. Now, this is actually a two-part thing. The first time, I spoke to him on the phone, and he said, "Why aren't I on your television show, or why aren't I on your radio show? What is your issue? Do you not love me?" And I said, "Yes, I do. Be on my show today, except this is going to be a virtual show, so it's radio." He didn't hear that part. So as I'm talking to him on the radio, I hear all this noise in the background, right? And he shows up in the studio and takes my mic. That was a Les Brown moment. But let me give you the backstory. Les Brown was the reason why I got into owning my own business and having a global vision. I remember being sort of a housewife and a minister's wife and really not knowing what my options were going to be. When it comes to really helping people, we really tried to do outreaches and work with the kids in the community. And one day, a friend of mine gives me a tape, and the tape, I'm listening to this tape from this guy named Les Brown, and he said, "You got to be hungry." That thing changed my game. I said, you know what? It's okay to be hungry for the passion and for the vision. That began me in the coaching conversation, wanting to distribute hope all around the world. It was because of Les Brown. Now, fast forward a few years ahead, when I had a wonderful client named George Fraser of FraserNet.com, and I'm sitting in a suite with Les and George and Veronica Conway. We're having this great conversation, and Les said, "You need to be on radio." I'm like, "Why?" Just talking? I mean, I've done DJing and stuff. Just talking, I could listen to you all day long. Before you knew it, I was on radio doing shows all over the country and via internet, which I love because it's global. And then I own my own radio network called Drama Free Radio. Then I see him again. "You need to be on television." I'm like, "Oh, come on, I don't need to be on television. I don't want to do television." That was all Les Brown. Now, I wouldn't call it necessarily television in the traditional sense, but we are telling a vision every day and how people can do extraordinary things. Let's fast forward to maybe last year. I get a phone call, and I find out that Les Brown is not feeling well. And all I could do is say a prayer, because I know that that man has made such an impact on my life. Even appearing on my internet radio shows for me, encouraging me and empowering me to continue to do what I'm doing. I didn't know how I was going to get to him. I didn't know if I could get to him. His number changed a lot, understandably, when you're such a phenomenal celebrity. But I didn't know it was going to happen. So I'm in New York. I'm shooting some footage for another show, and I hear that I have to talk to Les Brown. Didn't even know where he was going to be. Then I get a phone call, "Why don't you come to Dallas and speak at a conference?" I didn't want to do that. I was supposed to go to Louisiana. I wasn't feeling that well. I personally was having some personal challenges with my own health. I ended up staying at my girlfriend's house for a long time, longer in New York, and couldn't go to Louisiana because I wasn't feeling that hot. Then it felt completely well when I decided to go to Dallas. Go figure. I get to Dallas, and at the time that I got there, Les Brown shows up into that hotel. I couldn't believe it. I give him a phone call, and I said, "I'll see you in the green room." We go into the green room. I'm sitting down talking to him, and I'm looking at this man who is my mentor, virtual mentor, my Uncle Les, my predecessor in empowerment. I love him. And I said, "I want to pray with you and do a meditation." We prayed, we did a meditation, and then that was it. I haven't seen him since then. Now, back to the phone call. He comes into the studio during the radio show, and I said, "What are you doing here? I told you I was going to be in Arizona." And he says, "I had something to tell you." I said, "What is it that you want to tell me, Uncle Les?" He said, "I'm debt-free, I'm drama-free," referring to my old platform, "and I'm cancer-free." Do you know how exciting that was to me? And I called him back after the show. I was in tears, and I said, you have to come live. You have to come into the studio. And he did. He came in, and we had this wonderful discussion. Being across the table from Les Brown in an interview format and watching him just really just be buck naked, candid with me, and realizing that the reason why I'm here doing what I'm doing is because of him, it was phenomenal. It was like a punctuation on my career and on my life at that time that really it now begins. Les Brown is an incredible asset to the universe and to society and community, and I was just blessed to be able to be in the same room. The man who's always interviewing people was interviewed by me that day, and we had a good time. And he bought Tina Lewis, and met a few other people because of him, like Sean Arnold, Esquire. But I was happy for him to be here, and he's always welcome here, by the way, always welcome in our studio. It was a great interview. That's all I can say.